Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello Sobat Cendekia and welcome back to Budget Podcast. My name is Haidan and I'll be the host of this very special episode which will be talking about our beloved school, Bumi Cendekia. I've invited a very special guest today. He graduated from Victoria University in Wellington with a PhD and is the founder of the Bumi Aswaja Foundation. Pak Iqbal, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you today?
I'm good. And how are you, Mas Haidan? Yeah.
I'm doing all right. Thank you
right.
very much.
Very well.
So, the history of Bumi Cendekia is a little bit enigmatic. Yeah. So I think the students, us, as well as any parents who would like to enroll their children into Bumi Cendekia, I think we'd all like to know a bit about the history of the school. So could you tell us a bit about that? Perhaps what motivated you to establish Bumi Cendekia?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and it is my pleasure to be here at the Bumicendekia podcast. So Bumicendekia was founded in 2018, and we started to admit students in 2019. So as for the motivations, for me personally, I think I took part in this initiative to establish Bumicendekia because of my learning in Pesantren, and I was taught by my kiai, my ustad, my guru that for us as a Muslim, it is important to do hikmah. Yeah, hikmah means service to the community. So for me personally, my motivations to join Bumi Cendekia to start this initiative this is part of my hikmah as Muslim to contribute to my society, and I believe that Pesantren is an important place to prepare young Muslim generations for the future. So that's actually my personal motivations. But in terms of the idea for establishing Bumicendekia, so Bumicendekia is a kind of a community project. So it was established by a group of young Muslim activists based in Jogja. The name of the young Muslim activists is Jamaah Nadiyin Yogyakarta. So Jamaah Nadiyin Yogyakarta is a kind of informal young Muslim community, which most of their members were graduate of traditional pesantrens in many places in Indonesia. So they have this idea to continue these traditions of pesantren, but with a combinations of pesantren-based educations and also the more modern quality school for Muslim generations in Indonesia. So that's the idea, for the motivations for the establishment of this pesantren.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a bit about the activists coming from traditional pesantrens around Indonesia.
Yes.
It seems that Bumi Cendekia is half modern, half traditional kind of pesantren. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, that's actually the idea, because we believe that pesantrens has a very long traditions of preparing good human resource in Indonesia. A lot of leaders coming from the pesantren traditions, and I think this is something to offer. The pesantren is unique, and therefore I think it is important to prepare to continue these traditions, and but also we have to understand that the situations today is not like the situations in hundreds or 50 years ago, and that's why I think it is very important also for pesantren to be open to new ideas, to be more prepared for educating today's generations.
Absolutely. After all, we can't prepare our children for a time that's already gone by. Isn't that right?
You're right. Yeah.
So, if that's the case, then what does Bumi Cendekia offer that other pesantren's do not?
Yeah, first of all, I think Bumicendekia is like many other pesantren. It is based on using classical Islamic learning in pesantren. Usually call it pesantren salaf or like traditionalist classical Islamic versions of the pesantren. So Bumicendekia also adopt this classical Islamic learning, but also Bumicendekia also try to combine this with a more modern way of educations. Yeah, what we can offer here is a kind of educations that give a focus on the need of the student. So for us, it is important that educations, when it is preparing for the, good characters of Muslim, akhlakul karimah, it is also important to for the pesantrens to be more supportive for the potential, for the talent, for the the dream of students. So we here at the Pesantren Bumicendekia, we try our best to, to understand the need of the students and to provide mentoring for every individual student so they can understand their potential, and we try our best to, to provide the necessary support for their improvement. So that's what we can, offer at the Bumicendekia.
Absolutely. And I myself, as a student here, I absolutely agree that the school here is very student oriented. And many of the programs and you could say privileges that are offered by the school, it's something that I'm deeply grateful for, because not every Pesantren has that, right? Like for example, the students in Bumicendekia were allowed to use our laptops. Well, specifically for high school, we're allowed to use our laptops pretty much every single day outside of detox time, and our phones on the weekends. And this allows us to be able to connect with the outside world. It helps us to participate in competitions, and overall it's a really helpful learning tool, especially considering that obviously the future, a lot of it will be digital. So in a way, I think I believe that Bumicendekia is preparing us for that. So what is your hope for Bumicendekia students for the future, or perhaps the students that are currently studying?
Yeah, so I think studying in pesantren sometimes will be challenging, for students, especially because in pesantrens, you have to like study in pesantren 24 hours separated from your family. So it's a challenge, for some students, especially those who are at the age of when they feel that they need to be part of their family. But I believe this is not like an important choice to make, to live in pesantren, study in pesantren. So because this experience in pesantrens with a lot of discipline, a lot of program at the pesantren will be a good a good experience for your future. Actually, that will be your privilege, because a lot of people now today, I think they need what is important is not only your knowledge. What is important is not only your skill, but what is important is also your characters, your identity, your traditions. And pesantren provides the students with this experience, tradition. So my suggestion for students is to use this opportunity while you are studying the pesantrens to to empower yourself, to equip yourself with the traditions of the pesantren, and that will become your foundations for your future. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which I think is important, because pesantren Bumicendekia also have these visions of preparing students for what we call as global citizens. So I think we believe that you are given the opportunity here not only to learn Islamic studies, which is very important. Islamic studies is not only for your religious orientations, but also your future basis, but also learning foreign language. like what you are doing here. You are learning English, you are learning bahasa Indonesia, you learn Arabic. Some students learns. You are still learning bahasa Indonesia, by the way. Yeah?
I am.
So and some students learn Japanese, learn Chinese language,
Konnichiwa.
Korean. So a lot of leaders, they come from from educations that allow them to to learn foreign language. For example, in pesantren tradition, we know one very important, inspiring figure, like, for example, Kiai Haji Idham Khalid. Idham Khalid name, we used it for the name of one of the dormitory here in the pesantren Bumi Cendekia. So Idham Khalid is one former chairman of Nahdlatul Ulama. He has long experience studying in Islamic boarding school in pesantren, classical Islamic pesantren. But he was motivated by his pesantren to learn foreign language, and he became a very important national leaders. So he led conferences, international conferences on behalf of the Republic of Indonesia at that time during the period of independence. So, but someone coming from pesantren traditions can become a global leader, can become an international leader with their pesantren identity. So that's what I think is important. So the Bumi Cendekia giving emphasis on preparing students for this international engagement by learning foreign language. So that's, I think, is important. The third, which I think is important, is also the of course you have to good in your academic, you have to have a good grade, but it is also important to practice good characters, because at the end, people in your future professional career, people will not only look at your academics, which is important, your portfolio, but people will also look at your character. Is someone so that they have a good characters? In Islamic term, we use the term akhlakul karimah, or in Bumi Cendekia we use the terms 9 values of Bumi Cendekia. So this is the emphasis here, because we believe that future leaders will be seen from their characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, because having lots of good grades, or having lots of prestige or their deal in like pesantren or at school, like, it's not always going to, like, it's not the only thing that people are going to look at. You can be as smart as you want, but if you're a bad person, if you love saying bad words, or if you love insulting people, they're like, people aren't gonna like you either way. And myself personally, I didn't come from a pesantren background whatsoever. Well, my family, they were all they all went to pesantren, but like whenever my parents told me to go to pesantren, I was like, no, I don't want to. But now that I'm actually here, I'm really grateful for it, actually, because the people I've met here, they've been so good to me so far, and it's taught me a lot about myself, a lot about other people, and most importantly about having good character. I think that's something that many places don't emphasize on a lot, so I really appreciate Bumi Cendekia emphasizing on that. Now, obviously, as time goes on, I've noticed that Bumi Cendekia is getting a lot more attention recently, especially in the media, which means a lot more parents are going to be considering enrolling their children in pesantren. Is there something that you'd like to say to them? To parents and children of their parents, and I think sending students to pesantren does not mean that you are relieving your responsibility as parents, but it's part of your parent responsibility for the student is to send children to a good environment, because environment is very important today, because if in pesantren traditions, we are taught that it is very important to make sure that our children is close to orang-orang soleh, means like good people, Faithful
pious people, people who can give a good influence to your children. So I think pesantren is it's a good place now to to allow students to be living in environments that can give good influence to the characters and to the traditions, the practice of the students. Sorry, it's okay. Yeah. So that's the first of all. So I think this is part of our responsibility to to pick our students, prepare them with a good environment for their future. The second is, I think, what is also important in Bumicendekia is that we allow continuous communication between students and their parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it is important for us to learn about about ourselves, and parents know better about ourselves, etc. So by sending your children to pesantren, especially in Bumicendekia, you can also continue. Sorry, I was distracted by by the
It's
sign
alright,
from
it's
Aziz.
alright.
Yeah, yeah. But that's my point. Yeah, I think don't worry to send children to the pesantren, but of course you have to make sure that the pesantren will provide the the kind of education, the kind of mentoring for the students. They allow them to grow and to live in a positive environment.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we get into the next question, perhaps there are some things that the viewers would like to see. You may have noticed that on the set of our podcast, we have some products here like this.
Yeah, wow, interesting.
A thermos. Very interesting. We have this thermos, mug, and also that bottle over there.
And the water.
Yes, Santri water.
Santri water, we call it.
Yeah, because we love Pesantren, that's why. Here at Bumi Cendekia, we also sell a variety of products like the ones that I showed you earlier. And these are all some very, very good, high quality products. And if you would like to, if you'd like to buy them, you could buy them at Lestari Mart. All right.
Yep.
Let's move on to the next question. All right. So going back to the history of Bumi Cendekia, could you tell us a bit about what were the first classes or lessons in Bumi Cendekia like? I mean, like back in 2018.
Yeah.
Itu pengalamannya itu seperti apa buat siswa angkatan pertama waktu itu?
Yeah. Well, it's we call them asabi kunal awalun, like the first generations of Bumicendekia. So we started Bumicendekia with, I think, 27 students at that time. So it was it's a unique experience because we are really still at the formative stage of the pesantren. So at that time, the relationship between students and santris are very close, very intensive, etc. Sometimes the number of teachers are not full yet. So sometimes I myself also come to the class, when the class was vacant. Yeah. So and we teach and sit with the students. So I think students learn also from that. Not only from the established system, but also in the system which are still in that formative period. So students also learn from the experience. So they're always like plus and minus in that kind of situations. So 27 students, and then a few students left, but then new students came, which is surprisingly we actually the number of the students who enroll in the beginning and with the number of students who are graduated for the first time is almost the same, even though there are a few students who left, but other students came to replace them.
Spot.
Very interestingly, for us this is something that is only God matters. God that only decide what happened to us. So sometimes we cannot always control what happens, but God help us. So it's part of the amazing story of Bumicendekia and for the first generations, and we are very happy now that we still have this good relationship with our alumni of Bumicendekia from first generations to the latest generations. Yeah.
So what about the future of Bumicendekia?
Yeah.
How do you envision it?
So yeah, I think Bumicendekia now is in its 6th year. Yeah, so we are still very young. But we believe that we are developing, we are progressing step by steps. Yeah. We still have many challenges in terms of the facilities, in terms of the infrastructures. Sometimes, students come here and they see the building, they see the classes like you. So we feel that sometimes, very humble by the conditions. But I think we got a lot of support from the community, from very diverse peoples, even our friends who are non-Muslim, they also support Bumicendekia. So we feel very motivated by these supports, and the number of students is growing every year. We started with only one class in the first year, but now in the 6th year, all classes of the junior high school are already 3 classes. So I think this indicates that there are interests in our unique model of educations, a pesantren that combine classical Islamic learnings and quality educations that give focus on the need, on the potential of the students. So we are very optimistic that Bumicendekia will become one pesantrens that can have a good contributions to the future leaders from the pesantren backgrounds.
I hope so too. Yeah. And as for the facilities, I heard that Bumicendekia had a BC 2.0 plan. Is that right?
Yeah. So actually, we have this plan of stages in the development of Bumicendekia. So yeah, we just purchase lands around the pesantren.
2 hectares.
Yeah, we have almost 1 hectare of land now already already owned by the pesantren. So our job after this is to fundraise for the constructions of the classes, for the dormitory, for the mosque, etc. A lot of facility we still need to to provide, yeah, and that's why I think we are progressing while both at the infrastructures and also at the human resource and education aspect. So with the support that we got now from the community, but we also believe that God give us what we need. So the timing is in the God's plan. So we believe that God have a good plan for the good future of Bumicendekia as long as we strive the best for that. So I think right now we accommodate the exact number of students that we need. So yeah. Next year we will have more students and hopefully we will have more infrastructure for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we already have so many students now. It's kind of hard to believe actually. Yeah. I remember there are times when Lestari Mart, especially at nighttime, it's so crowded, especially with the students in junior high school.
And you see now even the mosque is already over capacity. The dormitory actually is a bit over capacity. So this is right now we have used houses of the communities for dormitory, for other facilities. Fortunately, we got the houses because our own building is not sufficient, it's not enough. So fortunately, we have good neighbors, we have good village community who provided support for us. And there are families who allow their houses to be used for the pesantren because of the lack of the facility right now. So that's I think that is part of the blessing, yeah, the barakah. In the pesantren term we use the term barakah, means the blessing of God that allow us to grow in this kind of situations. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have reached the end of today's podcast. It was very fun talking to you, and I'm sure, myself and hopefully the viewers, we learned quite a lot from you today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very nice, for very well done for the podcast.
Thank you.
Good luck to you and your friends here. Amin.
Well, thank you all for joining us. I'll see you in the next episode. Wassalamualaikum
Assalamualaikum
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.